Hey guys, welcome to the Shield Pro Guide update for January 2015. In this first video I'm flying a Gila. It is not this fit, but this is the fit that I recommend to you. I'll post this fit in the comments along with the others. The difference is this fit has a large ASB, ancillary shield booster, and the other fit has an invol in its place. That results in less capacitor, and it made the cap a real problem. Also on the other one I used cap booster 150s instead of this one uses Navy cap booster 400s, which are much better. So to set this fight up, me and 2 or 3 other guys were roaming around low sec and a little bit of null sec, and we were in MJD battle cruisers. So a variety of different fits. This was just after the medium MJDs were released. And we were having good fun with it. We got a lot of kills in those days right after. Got a lot of good escapes and stuff. And I've got footage of that, I think, over in a folder with all my MJD battlecruiser stuff that I'll release at some point in the future. So anyways, we had just had a fight with Eve Uni. We had won the fight for the most part. We had killed a lot of their ships. We were way up on efficiency. But we had all died. I had died first. They primaried me first. So I ran 1 or 2 jumps away and grabbed my Gila that I just so happened to have nearby. Luckily, I usually wouldn't have had it there, but I had abandoned it there earlier on. So Tro is going down at this point. He is in a hurricane, I think, and he's going down. He's primarying this Vexor Navy issue. Now this Vexor Navy issue is the second Vexor Navy issue of this fight. The first one was worth over 300 million ISK. And I believe we get to loot it afterwards. Okay, Troa just died. So now at this point, I tried to include the comms in this video, but every time I tried it, it messed up the audio from my mic, so I wasn't able to figure that out. But Troa is saying that he's going to go to Aegis, which is 2 or 3 jumps away, and get a Scorpion Navy issue that he has there to come help me. Until he comes back, I'm all by myself. So my priority here is, since the Vexor Navy issue is the most expensive ship on field, it should do the most DPS on field. It should be my biggest DPS threat, and it's already half dead. I'm going to stay on the Vexor Navy issue. You can see they're taking gate guns. The fact that they're taking gate guns gave us a really big advantage here, but you have to know that earlier on in this fight, they had us outnumbered probably 4 or 5 to 1. When we first had our first round of this in our battle cruisers, and we were winning that, but we did die. Troa was still on field with the remainder of the ships, which are these, and I was able to quickly get back. So Vexor Navy issue slowly going down. You see I'm struggling to maintain point. I should have tightened my orbit or used a keep at or something. I was really struggling to maintain orbit, to maintain point, and I have to keep overloading it, which is it's going to add up to some heat damage later on. My rapid light missiles take a long time to reload, so I'm just waiting. The 2 biggest mistakes I made here, well, there's 3 actually. It's 3 big mistakes. 1, I should be running those cap boosters way before now. Like, don't wait until your cap's empty. That was a big mistake on my part. 2, I was not watching my drones. You need to always glance up at your drones and see if they're taking damage. And I made a massive mistake. On the Gila, your drones are your DPS. This guy, I believe it's the catalyst that's shooting my drones. He just killed one of my drones. So I just lost like 30-40% of my DPS off the field, and I've got more I could put out. Unfortunately, I don't realize it until the end of the fight. So I'm fighting with a hand behind my back at this point. But good news is, the Vexor Navy issue is going down. Last one was worth over 300 mil. This one I don't think was quite as valuable, but still a really nice kill. Now the catalyst, he's right here. He does decent DPS, and he'll go down really quick, so he's my next primary. He's a quick and easy kill that I can get off the field. Capacitor's still giving me trouble. I'm overloading my invol to give me as much tank as possible. Remember, this is a buffer tank, Gila. So the only way I have of improving my tank is to overload my invol and selectively do it when I'm taking more DPS. You see now we've got a Griffin, Blackbird, Caracal, Tristan, Moa, and Vexor. So a couple of them warp off. Blackbird is really hurting. Right now, when I got that very brief lock, I should have put my drones on him, because if he was coming in to jam, then you want to get your drones on. It's a good thing for ECM in general. If you can get your drones on the ECM, it doesn't matter if you get ECM jammed, because your drones are going to continue to work on him even when you're jammed, which means that you're going to eventually be able to force him off the field with your drones. So just have to warp out and get some time back. So now I've moved on to the Vexor, and now here you're going to see my third mistake. So I'm messing up on my capacitor. For one, I should have cap booster 400s instead of 150s. For two, I should have been running it much earlier in the fight, so I never got down this low. Now I'm just like staying right there at the bottom, and I can't ever get back up. So I can't even take advantage of my peak recharge. Trying to stay on this Gila, on this Vexor. Tristan's there. Everything's off at range enough to where I'm not really threatened by it. They seem like they're scared, and they just do not want to commit. They feel like they've lost this fight at this point. And really, I think the Vexor's just trying to run away. You can see Troa is coming back on field. I think he just warped in just now, but because we're moving so fast, he lands too far to really help, and he never really comes back into this fight. He had been there for much of the beginning of the fight and held the field until I got back, but then after that it just took too long, and they started giving up, as you see. What you're going to see here is I lose point over and over and over on that Vexor, and it's already happened. And basically he just warps off. Now, the problem with that is, about 20 seconds ago, I should have approached, not orbited. When I kept doing that orbit, like at one point I was at 13K away from the Vexor, I hit orbit, it shoots me back out to 20, except now I'm heading directly away from him. We get a huge distance between us, I lose point, it's dumb. I should have been either tightening my orbit to 10 or 15, or approaching. And really, once I see that I've got the large advantage, just approach. Alright, this next video is the very brief, one of the only fights I got in the ASB Raven. It's 2 extra large ASBs for the Raven. It's got a web, a disruptor, rapid heavy missile launchers, and a heavy newt. So the fit for this also will be down in the comments. What I noticed most about this ship is that I could not get anybody to fight me. I roamed for days and days through low sec. I would go through gate camps, like gate camps in Amy, Ganditsa, and no one would fight me. Every single time, people would say, no one roams alone, no one roams solo in a battleship. You've got to have a Sino. So these total like gangs and fleets, like 10-man gangs, would just completely run away from me or refuse to fight me. So finally I found someone willing to fight me. I jump in here. I want them to take gate guns because, let's face it, they've got, what, 6 people so far, and maybe more coming. Verse 1. So I want them to take gate guns. They do. We've got the first MOA that takes gate guns. I make my first mistake. I put up my 5 hammerheads. I aggro the first guy to engage, and then I see that this other guy looks like he's already taking some damage, and I think, you know what, I'm going to switch to him. It's best not to switch more than you have to in fights like this, because you're just throwing away DPS. So now I get my DPS on him, but you see there's a scythe on the field. That scythe is Tech 1 cruiser, Logi, shield Logi. So he's giving shields and repping that MOA, keeping him alive. In order to neutralize that scythe, I'm going to put my heavy neutralizer on him. So now it's going to be a lot harder for him to rep that MOA. His cap's not going to be stable, and he's going to really struggle. There's only one Logi on field. There's no other scythe. So you can see now we've got a couple new people coming in, and this is where I make my mistake coming up pretty soon. See, I killed the MOA. That's great. Then I go on the scythe. Get him pointed, get him webbed. Got the drones on him. Now, for the very long time it takes me to reload my heavy, rapid heavy missile launchers. My drones are doing the work for me, and at this point you can see several people have come in, or just one so far, the Ashimu. And the Ashimu is actually assisting me here because he doesn't have gate guns. And I didn't realize that. So now I'm switching to another MOA. But then I see this Ashimu and I think, dang, he's taking a little bit of damage. He's worth more than everything else on field. I'm going to see if I can kill this Ashimu. That is what killed me right there. I should not have done that. It was a bad choice. So what happens is I put all my DPS in this guy. He's got a much better tank than I had anticipated, but now I'm taking gate guns. The gate guns haven't started shooting me yet, but they will. And he still hasn't really noticed. And if he has, he's not paying attention to it. They're still shooting the MOAs, so I do get an extra MOA kill here. I think it was 2 or 3 MOAs and a scythe that I killed. But I should have stayed on the MOAs and finished the MOAs off while burning to gate. Because you can see right now I am not scrammed, I am not webbed. I can run that micro warp drive and I can get to gate. I'm starting to approach now. I started to realize it, but for some reason, that the time you saw me click it, and it didn't take. And now it's too late. Scrammed and webbed. So, ideally, the best way to play this would be to get back to gate, tank, de-aggro, and jump through. Instead, now they've got a Deimos, a Pilgrim, and an Ashimu all here against me, because now I'm the guy that has gate guns that they can all freely shoot without any penalties, because I made that mistake. So I put myself at a big disadvantage there. And I would be okay. I'd probably be able to tank all this damage for a very long time while I wore through their ships. But the game changer here is the Pilgrim. And I should be switching to the Pilgrim, but I'm being greedy. I want the Ashimu. I think he's almost dead. If I get that next reload of that Rapid Light, I'll kill that Ashimu. I just need one more reload. That's what I'm thinking to myself. And so I'm using my ASBs because they don't take any cap. Just trying to stay alive until I can get that reload and drop that Ashimu. And I'm staying alive, but you see I don't have a point. And the Ashimu warps out. But now I'm cap dead, can't run my invul. The tank on this thing's awesome. And had I had links, you know, I would be doing much better also. I did run the drugs. You saw me consume the standard blue pill. I do have the mid-grade crystals. But what's killing me here is that Pilgrim. And for some reason, I decided to go for the Deimos. I guess in my head I thought, let's take out the highest DPS ship. But what's hurting me here is not DPS. It's the fact that I can't run my damage control or my invul due to being cap dead. The Pilgrim's going to have a much lighter tank than the Deimos. Deimos are pretty tanky. Me trying to kill the Deimos was a big mistake. I should have killed the Pilgrim, and then once I killed the Pilgrim, I could newt the Deimos and turn off all his guns. So that could have been a much better fight had I executed better. And like I say in every guide, you know, everybody makes mistakes. Don't be too hard on yourself when you make mistakes. The difference is most people don't show you the videos where they make the mistakes. So here, I'm not really showing you so much a fight. This is just an Algos and a pod. It's not a really big deal. But what I want to talk about is how I made this fight happen. So what had happened, and I'm pretty sure it was this one, is I'm in just the standard extra large ASB MOA. There was a fight on the other side of the system. It's a 2-gate system. So when they're warping off, naturally most people are going to warp to the gate on the other side of the system. They're so panicked, they're still fighting, everybody's so occupied on the other side of the system that rather than jump into the fray of 2 different gangs that are bigger than, you know, that outnumber me, I went to the opposite side of the system. And I camped the bubble, or warped down to the bubble when I saw there was a ship there. And all their pods and stuff, it's a great way to get pod kills. And sometimes other ships, as they're panic warping out, they'll warp directly to the gate. They won't go to their tacticals. And you can see I'm writing it there in the chat. And you will get some free kills, some free pod kills, because they're not gonna make the tactical warps. They're gonna just panic and warp directly to gate. And if there's a drag bubble in that gate and you're in it, I can run my scan and see what's coming, and I can kill, get some free pod kills, and in that case, an Algos kill as well. In this last video, I am in the Vagabond. I've only got one ASB. I think it might be an extra large ASB. I'm not really sure. Or this may have been my kite fit that only has one ASB. I'm not really sure. But in the Vagabond, I think it's probably the kite fit. So the kite fit Vagabond, I jump into a gate camp. Before I started running away, I looked at their ships, and I saw they were running sensor boosters and remote sensor boosters. So I know that they're going to lock me instantly, and you saw they locked me instantly. Instead of running back to ship, back to the gate, I decided to run away from the gate. The reason for that is, and this is something you should keep in mind for this ship, for every other ship, when you have 4 ships, or the rest of the fleet is slower than you, you're the fastest thing on the field, it's usually better to run away from the gate than to run back to the gate. Because I was just out of web and scram range for most of them. Then you got to factor in lock time, the time that I'm already be accelerating away from them. So by the time they got locked and went to hit their scrams and webs, I was already outside their scram and web range. And sure, they did a little bit of damage, but they can't keep up with me. So I was able to escape by running away, and it's a good tactic to use, especially in frigates, but also in fast ships like the Vagabond.